This is the Sick'em Podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network. The Sick'em Podcast is a production of Baylor Athletics. Now, here are your hosts, Brooke Bednarz, and the voice of the Bears, John Morris.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's Sick'em Podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network, a production of Baylor Athletics. We are glad you are with us this week. John Morris, Brooke Bednarz, and got the fall going here. Football started last week. How about this week, we finally get volleyball with some home matches.
I know. I feel like we've been seeing all their success. They've been traveling everywhere, all the cool pictures of all the cool places they've been. But I think they're very excited, as are we, to have them back in the Farrell Center.
The Baylor Invitational begins on Thursday night, match against Colorado State on Thursday night. Two more coming up on Saturday. Let's put some context to those pictures and get details as we welcome in Ryan McGuire, Baylor volleyball coach. And, Coach, thanks for joining us on the Sick'em Podcast.
Yeah, John, Brooke, thanks for having me.
Very good. Y'all have covered some miles. That first weekend was just up in Fort Worth, but then out to California last week, and y'all covered a lot of ground out there.
We did, yeah. First weekend, not too far up Fort Worth. So this really is our only travel trip of the preseason this past week when we went out to California. And a little bit of my old stomping grounds and see family. So we probably went a day earlier than maybe we traditionally would, but so we could spend some time with my brother, Brent McGuire. He's a captain, LAPD, younger than I am, and I'm really proud of him. A bad day for me, we take a loss, but a bad day for him, maybe someone's getting shot or hurt or injured. And Brent really 2 years ago did several Zooms with our team during the social justice challenges that the whole country was having, and really did a good job educating us from the perspective of both, hey, how LAPD handles things versus maybe Minneapolis police and other parts of the country, and really allowed our girls to have great conversation and was a good part of the healing process. So, we said, hey, well, next time we're in California, he'll bring us out, and he took our team through some training. So we really enjoyed that.
Now, that's some serious training. If you're getting training from a captain in the LAPD and y'all got to see some things and see how, an example is, how police officers have to make a split-second decision about different, how they react to situations.
Yeah, so we went directly to the police academy. It's right next door to Dodger Stadium. And we split up in two groups. So one group went outside for the first session and talked about some non-lethal ways to de-escalate things and what decisions do they use the lethal, non-lethal, and what warrants those things, how fast a perpetrator can come at you and it's coming quick, and are they holding a gun or a knife and or a comb, what is it that you got to recognize and see. And then the other half was in a room during the time and went through several simulations, from just a typical pullover to a bank robbery to maybe a hostage situation. And, hey, what decisions do you got to make, and what are you aware of, and what are you looking at, and how do you handle it? One was like a domestic violence one, and it was just a wrestler from Iowa came storming out. So what decisions do you make? Do you want to grapple with this guy versus maybe someone else? And what are the signs and clues that you're looking at? But, yeah, they're normally trying to make decisions. Maybe they figure once it gets escalated, you got about a second and a half to make the decision on, maybe which weapon, where do I shoot? And, I know in the bank robbery situation, it was hey, everyone stopped the person running out of the bank, but forgot to think about the exit vehicle and the person in that car that was also shooting at them. And then, there's a school playground right behind, the fence is backed up to the bank he's running. So if you are shooting, you really got to make sure you hit your target, because, these bullets are going to go for blocks, and you got to be accountable for all of them, and just how difficult that is. But also, they went through the training and the accuracy and what these cops are working on, and they're like our volleyball team, trying to get better each day.
That's a lot to think about.
Yeah,
and makes volleyball sound easy.
Well, that's part of the reason, right? You mean you want them to be, have access to this and learn from it.
Yeah, most definitely. And, our sport or every sport, you're making quick decisions, and just the consequences, I think, for our law enforcement are just much larger and deeper in that. So, the ability to stay trained and make sure you're trained is really important.
What was the main takeaway, or what did you get from your girls about going through that simulation?
I think they left with a deep appreciation. Like, some of them are like why? Like why would you choose this for a job? Because it's so dangerous, and when, especially today, when you do it right, you're probably maybe not appreciated for it, and if you do it wrong, you're so beat down. Like why choose this? And really, one takeaway was like it is really to protect and serve, and they are hiring the right people and that want to help the communities. I think we also looked at, I think it was like 1.7 million interactions a year, police. So when they get calls, when they're dealing in whatever situations, and lethal force was only used like 0.001% of that. The majority of officers never use their gun over their whole 20-year, 25-year career. But again, you got to remain sharp in each situation to do that. So really, that's just the heightened sentences and the training and what to look for in each situation is really important. Just the awareness of it. And then just how fast you got to think. So we got videos of girls. It's just a movie screen for the indoor one, and then they're diving behind bookshelves to not get hit and do different things. So it also takes a healthy courage and just moving forward in difficult situations.
There is also, let us say, a video out there. We're going to use it in the broadcast on Thursday night with your permission. But there's a video of you being tased by your brother, actually.
By my brother, yeah.
Now that's brotherly love right there.
That is brotherly love. I think he's been planning this for 2 decades.
Yeah.
This is, getting
Here's
back.
my chance.
Notice he said younger brother
That's
early
right.
on.
That's right.
He
That explains
remembered
it all
the things.
This is I called them rhino traps, right? This is the picking on him when I was 6 and he was 3 or 7 and 4, and pinning him down. And
Brent finally had his day.
He finally had his day. So no, they asked for a volunteer, and obviously don't want any of the athletes to go through it. We probably could have all avoided it and just not do it, but I knew it was something he kind of wanted to do, and it was unique. I got a great team, and I really learned that there's a lot more that care about me than I even realized when I went up there.
Secret test.
There was definitely some that had a concerned look on their face, like, Coach, don't do it. And there were still the ones that are like,
there's a few that are like, okay,
I can't wait to see it.
Go ahead.
But
you made me run that extra.
my brother did offer to let someone else pull the trigger and do it, but none of them were brave.
They all want to play.
Of course.
brave enough to do that. So, but yeah. And again, it did its job. I thought maybe I'll gut it out for like 5 seconds,
right.
But I think a second into it, there's no moss.
Wow, man!
It's definitely not something I want to go through again. So,
and not only that, so you were sort of volunteered to do that, but then in the second group, one of your assistants, Joshua Walker,
and Josh really stepped up and
after seeing this,
I wouldn't do that.
They weren't planning on doing it to him either, but when we went into the other group, I'm like, okay, Joshua, like, they need somebody for the second group, and Jahida was super scared, and Will was like, no way, and then our volunteer Connor was like, I got to go to the bathroom. Kind of that. I'm like, Joshua, it's just you, and I was just teasing just to see if he was going to do it or not. I really was not expecting him at all, and he did it. He manned up and did it. His older sister, is actually captain out in Virginia. So all the police officers get tased themselves. They get hit with pepper spray. All the non-lethal things they do to others, they experience in case something happens, and then also they can know what they're doing to others. So I think I lasted the second and a half. He was only about a second. So, but yeah, no,
Head coach,
strong.
associate
Yeah,
coach.
there you go.
Yeah, he did a great job and got tased as well. So we have that bond now.
Ugh, that's a bond I'll let y'all have.
Yeah, exactly.
John and I don't
We're
need
not
that.
doing that on the Sick 'Em podcast. Yeah, more power to you. Part of the reason for this trip, you did play games out there.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
by the way,
Yeah.
There was some volleyball playing.
right.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten to that yet, but you played Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You went out on Monday. You've got a really young team this year, almost a completely brand new staff. So part of this, wasn't it, just a bonding experience for your new team?
This really was a bonding trip for us. I think whenever you can teach virtues and values and the principles in a unique and different setting, it helps those sink in. So, they're hearing some of the things we're saying in the gym all the time, but for us to be able to, do a bonfire on the beach one night and watch the sunset and talk about some of those faithfulness that we want to be strong at, the humility we want to be strong at this year, and then just the girls spending time together. We after we drove up to the Hollywood sign, my brothers kind of surprised us and said, hey, load up in these vans, and kind of escorted us behind gated areas and unlocked areas so we could be right at the Hollywood sign, pretty much touch it. And the view over LA and the ocean, everything up there was beautiful. So a lot of pictures and time for the girls to interact with each other. We had lunch on Hollywood where the Walk of Fame is at, and the Oscars and everything there. So girls had a chance to. It's not as glamorous as it really you see it on TV, but just have
They
that
do a really
experience.
that's camera angles right there.
Yeah.
It is. It's Hollywood, right? And but yeah, it really gave us a chance to bond, and that was a takeaway too. We asked the girls, "Hey, what was your favorite part?" Like, "Oh, I roomed with this person who I don't normally room with, and we really got to know her much better. And I was sitting next to this person on the bus or the plane, and really got to connect with them as well." So we're both growing and learning the techniques of volleyball. We're definitely growing and strengthening our bond as a team with the hope that multiplies the joy, and we're good at dividing the burden for each other.
Before we talk about the specific games and just how you guys continue to build and develop, I do want to angle us back to Fort Worth, because you had a monster victory. And I'll let you go ahead and explain what that was and who it was against and just the impact. You have to feel good about starting the season off with a new and younger team like you have.
Yeah, we grew up really fast over the weekend, and again, our goal is just to get better every day. And I knew, what we look like in November will be a lot different than how we look in August and September. There's just so much to learn, but you need experience, and the only way to get experience is time. But yeah, we had Minnesota, Wisconsin, both, Minnesota ranked 5, Wisconsin 3, Wisconsin national champions, and returning bulk of their team, and a lot of upperclassmen there. And so the Minnesota match, we lost in 4, and I thought we were in position to pull off some wins in there. But it's 4 or 5 freshmen are in the first time playing volleyball, literally, their first serve, first time receiving pass, and against a great team. So we took those things that we wanted to work on and say, let's be better in these areas heading into the Wisconsin one. And part of that was consistent. Part of that was just managing our swings. I think, our sports design, where you got to be really aggressive to be successful, but you got to know when and how to do that. That was as good as Yasi was. It took her some time. Like, she wasn't, I remember her crying as a freshman, where she just felt like she was horrible and so many errors, and how do we fix those and arrive there but still get the kills. And so we got 4 or 5 of them out there on the court right now, and they did a good job against Wisconsin just learning and managing those. I thought Riley Simpson specifically really is starting to see the court in a way that's going to allow her to score. Our blocking came alive. I think the first set we lost, and then we really started getting in front of their heavy hitters and had quite a few blocks from all the way across, from both their middles, both their outsides, right sides, in doing that. So, Lauren Harrison, who has not played back row until this year for us, both improving the digs, but then also, took a really big swing in the fifth set out of the back row to maybe kind of seal the deal or create that separation for us to finish it off. So, again, a lot of, not only is it young players, but also even some of our returners are in roles that are bigger and different than what they've had before.
And that was a little nonchalant way of saying they knocked off the reigning national champions.
Yeah.
Let's not let that go without being actually verbalized.
We've done well against Wisconsin, during the regular season, three wins, and so we just got to make sure if that's a team we see in the Final Four or sooner that we're still getting better and able to do it. They're going to be really good. They're 6'8" and 6'7", and it's probably one of the biggest teams out there with some good heavy hitters and good defenders.
Even with such a young team this year, you didn't shy away from starting the season again with Minnesota and Wisconsin back-to-back. Did you have to as part of the Big 12, Big 10 challenge, or did you say bring it on?
It's a four-year plan, so
Okay.
This was year 2 of the 4-year
to start the season.
To start the season that way.
Okay.
So it'll be that way next 2 years.
Okay.
I was aware of it. I was definitely aware of how young we were going to be this year going into it. But, we get to host them in 2024. So 2023 will be at Minnesota, and then 2024 will be here. And we should be the same team, but 3 years together hosting those teams. So it'd be great. We split last year. Beat Minnesota, not Wisconsin. This year we split and went the other way. So hopefully the next couple of years we can go 2-0 in it. But again, that's, you're talking about 2 top 5 teams to start the season. And to me, it's if you win, it gives us confidence, but it's also, shows us what we got to work on because we didn't sweep either of them either. So again, as we're working on being a little bit more consistent, it was good. Great win for us and program, and excited for the girls just to have that memory. It's kind of what you sign up for. Hey, I want to be in a big time, prime time, top 10, top 25 match, and get the W is something these young freshmen can hold on to.
You're tuned into the Sikkim Podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network. I've had the privilege of calling games and telling stories about Baylor athletics for a long time. Storytelling is an art, and there's a network in town doing just that. Rogue Media Network has produced over 80 original podcasts and shows ranging from comedy, true crime, business, and sports. If there's a story to tell, Rogue Media Network is telling it. You can find this podcast and all the other great Rogue Media Network shows on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or anywhere you listen to podcasts.
We're here with head volleyball coach of the Baylor Bears, Ryan McGuire. We just talked about the success you had up in Fort Worth. Let's go back to LA. Just kind of walk us through those matches. You got some wins out there. We've already talked about the team bonding aspect of that trip, but it had to feel good to see some good volleyball on the court as well.
Yeah, I think we opened up at Pepperdine versus Pepperdine, and a good crowd for them. And Pepperdine, I knew was going to be a great team this year. We've played them the past couple of years. We've gone 5 with them and getting the wins. And I think what they're trying to do over there is some good things. We was disappointed probably in how we started the match. A little sluggish. Lost first set, won the second set. And then it, probably came back to that consistency as we're trying to, there's such that balance of pushing the tempo and having a rhythm that's going to give us success really in a way where we can be good in December. And, there's no reward without the risks. So we're not trying to play it safe, but we're still trying to be good. So that idea of being quick without rushing, we probably struggled with, or I would say maybe slowed things down and played a little bit too safe. When you're playing a good team, you need to keep pressure on them. So that serves probably being a little bit tougher, maintaining the speed and the accuracy of them. In the next 2 nights, we were really good with that. With San Diego State and UC Santa Barbara, our service game really kept them out of system. Lauren Briseño, Avery Carlson specifically, I thought were extremely difficult and accurate, so sometimes there's targets on the other side of the net, and if it's not the libero, the other people are shifting and they're trying to intercept it. But if you're hitting it hard and accurate enough, it's going to cause problems. So again, what we weren't great at in against Minnesota, we were able to turn that around in Wisconsin. What we didn't do well against Pepperdine, we definitely applied right away. So still growing, but our hope is this week that we're great in our first match of the tournament.
But it sounds like your team's at least receptive, and that this young group is very coachable.
They are very coachable. They're learning, and I think if you drop a set or you lose a match, it stings a little bit. We're like, hey, we got to be able to do this to be successful, and if we're not doing that at the level we expect, then it costs us a match or it costs us a set. Then I think it heightens that sense of urgency. They're still really bought in, but I don't think, again, until you experience, they've really realized like how important some of these touches are. In our sport, there's a lot of rallies. The ball's going to cross the net 3-4 times, but chances are there might be a touch on the second time that ball crossed the net that's going to lead to our point, 8 touches later. Because if we're passing it in system, we crush the ball, man, that team's scrambling. They'll get it back over, but not as tough as they've wanted to do it. And then the next one we're able to terminate. But if our touch isn't good, now we're kind of in a scramble and we're rolling it over or not crushing it the way we want to do it. Whether it be a hitting error, that was kind of an issue sometimes, or is way too easy. Now they're in system and they're hitting it back at us. So I think that's something the teams learn is how can we maintain control of the rally and be like, hey, we're still in control. We haven't scored the point yet, but something that the rally was good as like you can't crush it. Wisconsin was in a 6-2. Santa Barbara's in a 6-2. Let's make sure that setter takes it. And now we don't have to defend middles. Teams that had good middles on her versus just putting it in anywhere. So some of those little things that everyone needs to be mindful of. Again, that experience. Oh, here's a situation where this is what was required of me. I did it once. I forgot it, or I just didn't know, right? Or we're still trying to, they're drinking from a fire hose, because in practice you try and recreate those situations as much as possible, but we're limited on how many hours we get to practice. So. Yeah.
Game of rallies. Can you talk about how impactful a big crowd is? You guys have played in front of quite a few already this season, but it's going to be nice to have your home team, your home crowd, backing you guys on those long rallies.
Yeah, I think being at home, there's just something about that crowd, one cheering for you, and that our crowd is our family. So we talk about multiplying the joy. So we're maybe jumping a little higher, or maybe hitting a little bit harder when we know there's a crowd supporting us. I think also sometimes the opponents feel a little bit more nervous or intimidated, and maybe they're a little bit more hesitant and may miss a few more serves or not swing as violently or as confidently in it. So we want all of our skills to have an influence on the match, like a big intimidating block from Kara and Mallory. They may not block again, but now the team's tipping, so it's a lot easier. I think when we're at home, the hope and goal is that our crowd is having an influence on the match as well, and pumps us up, but also keeps the opponents from feeling comfortable.
You've got a young team. We've talked a lot about that. You've got a new staff, basically. But, man, you've got a lot of talent there also. Avery Carlson, probably the biggest, highest-ranked recruit you've ever gotten here at Baylor. And then Riley Simpson played really well this past weekend, Big 12 Newcomer of the Week.
Yeah, I think, hopefully we'll dominate the Rookie of the Year stuff in the Big 12 because we got so many rookies playing. So hopefully we're going to have 4 or 5 having a good match or a good weekend every week in that. But Avery's really stepped up. She the setter is the quarterback of the team. So she's got to make the decisions offensively, who to set, when to set, what's the best time to set, what are the matchups like, this hitter versus that blocker, or this hitter's strength versus maybe weakest defender as far as the areas they hit at. But they still got to be accurate, too. You could have a smart quarterback, but they can't hit the wide open receiver. It doesn't do any good. So Avery's also, as we're still scrambling, we're working on our serve receive, improving a little bit to the level that we want it to be. She's also running balls down and making them that very hittable. That's her job. Hey, you got to set balls that are hittable, and then we got to let hitters do their work. And so now we're also the Riley Simpsons, the Allie Checks, doing their job as young freshmen. Hey, what kind of work needs to be done on a set that's a little high, or maybe dropping in or off the net or on the net. Again, we're back into these. You got a quick decision to make. In this situation, the block's your friend. Let's hit it off their hands and out of bounds. In this situation, let's not hit it right at them. It's going to come back hard, and how to recognize those a lot faster in doing that. But Riley Simpson's moving the ball around. She contacts at such a high point. I think Allie Check for us has a heavy arm and had a great spring. Elise is a returner, even though just a sophomore, same high contact. So we got some good length and good range. And then Harrison being a returner, powerful arm, and we are strong in the middle. That is the one position where we're upperclassmen at.
Who is that upperclassman that kind of, when things are going a little chaotic, because you do have a young setter quarterback of the team out there, who is that person that's kind of calming everybody down, and who the young ones are looking toward?
Right now I say it's Kara. It's a challenge for our team this year. As we're still forming our identity, I think we're still looking to see who that person is going to be. Riley is a freshman, again, a redshirt freshman. She had a good voice in there. Kara has had a great voice at times. Lauren Harrison has done that. And, we get some of that from Briseño as well. So this year I see it's just going to be a tag team effort. As much as you maybe always, as a coach, you want that one person coming in there being really strong. We have that within our team, but I think a lot of that is the freshman class, and so they're still trying to figure out that balance of their voice to what can I say, what should I say, and again, I'm encouraging them to say it as much as possible, but it's it's a quieter team. They have a good, healthy inner growl, but aren't the outgoing, flamboyant, everybody look at me here. It's a very, very servant-hearted minded team, but sometimes I wish nobody's going to get a red card this year. I can't imagine any player like that. And, it is different because we, Callie Williams did such a great job with the voice, Presley Anderson with the voice, Chanel with a voice, Yossi had her voice, Avery brought experience. You had the Emily Van Slates and the AJs with voices. So, there's definitely as much as I feel there's a little void there we're working on it. I'd love to say, hey, we've arrived and it's this person, but it also means, Jahida's voice has been really key and very good, and Coach Walker's voice has been good, and our volunteer Connor's been really good too. So.
What was it like putting together that new staff? I mean, you're building your new young team and trying to find that identity, and you're kind of doing the same thing with your coaching staff.
It was so busy. We finally were supposed to have.
Yeah, are you breathing?
We were finally supposed to have a normal spring, and there's nothing normal about it at all. But man, so blessed. Both coaches, and and it's our technical coordinator, and Nicole is our new director of ops as well, former player. So. Hey, I got new strength coach, new athletic trainer, new academic coach. So we're it's like 10 new people. But that's what makes Baylor so special is the people. I think for Jahida, like I said, such great experiences is the coach-player relationship, helping win championships, and we've stayed in contact. And she's been coming to games. And her daughter, Abby, just starting 8th grade here, she's been coaching in the club area up in the Dallas region. I think we're going to have the best 26, 27 class because she knows all the top young ones. But all the parents love her, love her too. And so that's just God doing His thing. I would love to say it was a brilliant hire because of that, but I wasn't even thinking that part. Like, how well could you coach defense? And she coaches defense well, and just a healthy perspective. So I'm excited about it. And she's a recruiting coordinator, extremely organized, and already, is doing incredible things with that. Coach Walker, we didn't get until May because he was coaching with the men. So I think we finalized it, maybe announced it in March. So we had to wait. So we were kind of even down a coach a little bit in the spring, and again, rooting for him, and his team won a championship on the men's side. So excited. His wife had a baby right at the same time, and he's got 4 little ones, and you can imagine how busy he is. But
what's one more life change after that?
Yeah, exactly.
Pick him up and move him.
Move from Hawaii to Waco. So his faithfulness to me is just huge, and he's already, for me, a friend for life. And just because of how he treats people, his knowledge of the game is incredible. Also very, very humble. But the feedback that all of these coaches are giving are exactly what our team needs right now. I think the timing's good, because they're brand new, so they don't know what they don't know. So in my head, I'm like, we got a lot of work to do. Like what we looked like on day one of 2022 looked a lot different when we looked like on day one of 2021. So I'm like, whew, we got some work to do. They don't know any different. So
they're like, this is great.
So they know we need to get better, and that's really been good and helpful for me. Where I think, like I said, I know we got to grow, and our goal is just get better each day. But it's probably kept me from dwelling on how daunting the challenge might be to get there, because it's the point of power is in the present. We got to work on that now, and I think it's been healthy for me too. So to just be like, all right, what they don't know, so we got to talk about each day what we got to get better at, and that's all we focus on. So,
Yasiana Presley had such a dynamic All-America career here. What is she doing now? Are there other opportunities beyond college? Playing opportunities?
She played last year professionally in France. She was in Mulhouse, and ironically, not too far from family of mine that's living in Germany. They 20 minutes across the border and come watch her play a few times. She her knees, probably too many jumps and too many sets. Her knees were starting to give her trouble. So she's considering where she might play next year. She might take a little time and maybe come into the back part of the season. So she's in New Jersey and trying to let her body heal a little bit.
Good. Thanks for that.
Yeah, that's a cool family connections everywhere. How neat exactly. that they got to go to those games.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. And again, I thought it was, I think for all athletes, like to travel and visit internationally is great, and just eye-opening experience. But when you do it by yourself and you're a little lonely, there's that culture shock. And so I thought it was cool they could connect and invite Yasi to their church and just have people encourage you that maybe are like-minded and oh yeah, Ryan McGuire, like yeah, we did Christmas together growing up as my cousins out
great.
There. So
that's awesome. Well, fortunately for everyone listening, we don't have to travel to France to see Baylor play. All you have to do is come down to the Farrell Center. Students, if you're listening, you get free Rudy sandwiches while supplies last if you're the first one in the arena. So we highly can encourage you all to be making it out to that game. That first match is against Colorado State on Thursday at 6 p.m.
Very good. And 2 more on Saturday,
yep.
Baylor Invitational. And you'll have time to go to all the volleyball matches and still see the football game because it's so late on Saturday night out in Provo. So Baylor volleyball home for the first time this season this week. And, Coach, we appreciate your time. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Are you interested in true crime, funny one-star reviews, or inspiring stories? What about the history of Waco or the famous people who have lived and worked here? All these and more are produced by Rogue Media Network. There are over 80 different shows, including this one, with more coming all the time. If there's a story to tell, Rogue Media Network is telling it. Watch on YouTube or listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
That is our Sikkim podcast for this week, powered by Rogue Media Network. Thanks to Coach Ryan McGuire, Baylor volleyball coach, for being our guest. For Brooke Bednarz, I'm John Morris. We'll talk to you next week with our next Sikkim podcast.
You've been listening to the Sikkim Podcast, powered by Rogue Media Network. The Sikkim Podcast is a production of Baylor Athletics.